you in my heart is. And I'ma go hard regardless. Yeah, I'ma go hard regardless. Yeah. Renting my check, I rent on my bag, I did what I did. Yeah. Renting my check, I rent on my bag, I did what I did. Yeah. And how good they judge me, oh. But they don't know.
Setting Dylan Gabriel up.
Look how far I came, dog. I ain't had no guidance. I just did my thing, dog. I just win my hardest. And I'ma go hard regardless. Yeah, I'ma go hard regardless. Yeah. Renting my check, I rent on my bag, I did what I did. Yeah. Renting my check, I rent on my bag, I did what I did. Yeah. And how good they judge me, oh. But they don't know. Look at what I did, look at what I started. Look how far I came, dog. I ain't had no guidance. I just did my thing, dog. I just win my hardest. And I'ma go hard regardless. Yeah, I'ma go hard regardless. Yeah. Renting my check, I rent on my bag, I did what I did. Yeah. Renting my check, I rent on my bag, I did what I did. Yeah. And how good they judge me, oh. But they don't know.
Setting Dylan Gabriel up.
Look how far I came, dog. I ain't had no guidance. I just did my thing, dog. I just win my hardest. And I'ma go hard regardless. Yeah, I'ma go hard regardless. Yeah. Renting my check, I rent on my bag, I did what I did. Yeah. Renting my check, I rent on my bag, I did what I did. Yeah. And how good they judge me, oh. But they don't know. Look at what I did.
Good morning.
Look how far I came, dog.
Let me get in here. Let me get this down. What is going on, everybody? What is going on? How y'all feeling today? Let's get these good mornings in order. We got some time. We got about 11 minutes before the Browns are supposed to introduce Todd Monken. I got my sound good, so let me get my other earpiece in. Miss Sparks was here early. Good morning, Miss Sparks. Excited. I like that energy. Key Mathis, good morning. Happy Pro Bowl Tuesday. We going back to back today, y'all. We got another live stream tonight. So make sure you are tapped in. Maybe make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you got the notification bell going. We are going live again tonight for the Pro Bowl. C. Brown Run, good morning. Craig, what's going on? You here early. Good morning. Maya, good morning. Doggy Bone, what's going on? They some workers. We some workaholics. How you feeling? Black Pearl, top of the morning. How you doing? Shalia, good morning. Princess Premier, good morning.
He went to school nowhere. If he went to school, he didn't learn nothing.
Latika, good morning. How you feeling? Who we got next? Selmo Fudd, what's going on?
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woo, woo. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woo, woo.
Shout out to Selmo Fudd. Zedric, what's going on, man? How you feeling? Black Pearl, I hope everyone is having a good day. Excited to hear what Coach Monken has to say. I'm excited too. Now that he's here, now that he's our coach, we look more into him. Definitely excited to hear what he has to say. And I hope he's ready for the Cleveland media. I hope he's ready. Hope he's ready. Shout out to Craig. Sassy Sagittarius, good morning. How you feeling today? New era for the land, Princess Premier. I agree with that. Selmo Fudd says, welcome to Monken Land. Welcome to Monken Land. Big questions I see are what's happening with Swartz, Shedeur, QB1, and his goals for 2026. I can see those questions. I can see those. New Cleveland or New Browns. Both of them work for me. I just want to win. So I want to be known as the winning Cleveland. So if you want to title it New Cleveland, New Browns, Old Browns, just make sure you call me winner because that's what I want. I want a winner, y'all. I want us to be winning. Knowing Cleveland reporters, though, they never ask the right questions. All over the place, Edric. You know what it is. You know what it is. Darius, what's going on? How you been? It's been a while, man. How you doing? How you doing? Yeah, welcome head coach Monken to Cleveland. Let's go. Or we should say welcome back. Welcome back. I can't imagine what questions they'll ask this coach. Yeah, they might be all over the place. I bet Mary Kate is the first to ask about Shedeur being QB1. Craig, you know that. You know that. Latika feeling amazing this morning. That is so good to hear. So good to hear. Glad to hear you doing better. Glad to hear you doing better. I hope he sets the tone with the media, for real. I hope he does, too. I hope he does, too. Tessa, what's going on?
Well, well, well. Well, well, well.
Question, y'all. Did I read Todd was with the Browns in 2019? Todd Monken was with the Browns in 2019. He was our offensive coordinator, but we had a first-time head coach in Freddie Kitchens, and the first-time head coach in Freddie Kitchens would call plays, and he would go off script from everything we practiced throughout the week. They still did have some success, though. They still had some success. They had some success. Someone is going to ask him a weird question. I can feel it. You already know, Zedric. You already know. I'm ready to see what Mary Kay asks. For real. She might go for the Jim Swartz question first, I think. It's going to be great to see head coach Monken stop all the negativity towards Shedeur and the team. Too excited today. Miss Sparks, I think somebody is going to ask about his connection to Shedeur. Now that they've seen them interact with each other, somebody's going to ask that question about their connection. Hey, it seems like y'all have a good connection. Where did that start? I can hear it now.
This is a foolishness. Foolishness.
What is going on, C.A. Anderson? Hey, y'all, I'm in listening mode, but the Super Bowl champs are in the house. Let's go. Let's get it. What's going on, C.A. Anderson? What is going on? Hi, D. I'm so excited. I feel good. It's a new day. It's a new regime. Looking at Kevin Stefanski. Now, do y'all remember the people who said, oh, Todd Monken is just like a grumpy Kevin Stefanski? We get to determine how we view Todd Monken based on who he is, not people who just want to throw him in a box and say he's just like Stefanski. Was that with Baker as QB? It's just yes, Baker was the QB when he was there previously. Baker was the QB. All right, so we got some time. We got about 5 minutes. Black Pearl, you asked me about the QB coach that the Browns signed. The QB coach that the Browns signed, he has about 19 years experience in college across various programs, from different roles to offensive coordinator to quarterback coach. He also had 2 stints in the NFL, one with the Bears, one with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, while Todd Monken was there as the OC. So they are familiar with each other. He was going to take the quarterback's coach job at Michigan State, or he was hired to do that. For 2 years, he left that job to come work for the Browns. So Todd Monken is filling his staff out with people who are in demand, which that is always good to see. You don't really want to be pulling everybody off the couch. You want some people that are in demand. So you want some people that are in demand. So definitely excited that he is taking that route. Definitely excited for it. Where we at? Did you see Shador was about to give the secret sauce away yesterday about him and Monken's meeting? He restrained himself but sounded excited. I didn't see it. I was watching a lot of stuff with Shador yesterday. It's so much stuff coming out. I'm like, this is crazy. A lot of stuff. I didn't see that one, Cedric. I did not see that one. I'll probably get through it today though. Towards the middle of the day after the stream, I'll get to it. Yep, foolish questions on the way. They can't help it, y'all. But he's been here before though. I wonder is he sitting with AB? I think initially what they do is they already I'm sorry, I started reading another message. I think what they do is it'll be like AB or somebody will introduce him and the coaches generally are up there by themselves. So we're gonna see. No problem, Black Pearl. I had to look into it. I didn't just, want to not follow up with you, so I definitely did look into it. I'm glad to hear that he's in demand, so that's a good thing. Monken and these boys are about to be dangerous. Yeah, they get a couple guys on the offensive line. They get them coached up, try to get some free agents. This could be big. They are definitely I'll share it on Patreon once I find it again. Okay, perfect. They are definitely looking to upgrade the offensive line and make sure they solidify the run game. Last year, the Browns' run game, a lot of times it was like we were running into a brick wall. So they're making sure they have pieces in place. They are live already. Let's see. Let's get to it. They're live already. Okay, stream starting soon. All right, let's see. Where we at? We're going to be here. All right, we're going to have this thing live as soon as it starts. Red Letter Day interview and Pro Bowl. Let me take this down. I don't want to be distracted by a third chat. I can't look at 3 chats. All right, we good there. People not even talking about the Super Bowl like that this year. They're talking about Shador and the Pro Bowl. Beast, what's going on? And that's a fact. Somebody asked me about how big is Shador, and I was saying we can't even quantify the interest in Shador. He is overshadowing the Super Bowl, y'all. Remember I told y'all he has more support than teams have. He's bigger than the Super Bowl right now. That is the story. All right, they starting.
A little bit of a different location, huh? All right, good afternoon, everyone. Really exciting day. I am thrilled to announce.
Let me know if the sound is good for y'all.
Head coach. And before inviting Todd up to speak, I actually wanted to give a little bit of context and background of what led us to this decision. Coming out of 2025, the first thing we wanted to do is say, okay, like where are we from a team standpoint? Where are we from a roster standpoint?
What's up, Marie?
And we looked at it and we said, hey, we're coming out of 2025. We have the 8th youngest defense in terms of experience, a group that's very complete at all 3 levels and that we feel really good about. On the offensive side of the ball, we looked and we felt like we had a number of young, pillar cornerstone pieces, but we envision a world where that side of the ball is going to have pretty significant turnover over the next.
Appreciate it, Craig.
And then from a resource standpoint, we looked at the team and said we're flush with, draft resources entering this offseason, as well as the appropriate amount of flexibility from a financial perspective. So as we looked at everything and we thought about what we needed from, our head coach, particularly in this phase, the first thing we actually looked at is we wanted someone who could lead, develop, and grow a young team. Because quite frankly, we're probably going to be, if not the youngest, one of the youngest teams in football in 2026. The second thing that we wanted, certainly in the short term, was a coach, didn't matter the background, that had a very strong and adaptable offensive plan, given the amount of turnover we're going to have on that side of the ball, both in terms of personnel, scheme, you name it. In addition to that very specific problem, we were looking at individuals that had 4 key attributes. The first is something that we categorize as global intelligence. So that's not just cognitive ability or IQ, that's EQ and football acumen as well. The second is something that we term CEO leadership. So that's someone who has the ability to function at what we would call 30,000 feet, as well as the tactical level at ground level. The third, we wanted someone who had a demonstrated track record of innovation where they've been. And then the fourth, we wanted
What's going on,
someone who
Detroit
had the
Gemini? It just
characteristics of
started. It
collaboration.
just started.
Given the head coaching position touches so many different areas in football operations in the modern day game. So what we did to assess, all of those characteristics with many of the fine coaches we met with, we looked at their performance track record, where they've been throughout all their career, how their units have done. We did a number of reference calls throughout people who had been in direct working relationship with the candidates throughout all stops of their career. We did testing, we did work samples, and we also did the interview. And we combined all of that information to make a good decision about who would serve us best, who would serve the organization best with the problem that we're trying to attack with where our team is currently. And when we did that, Todd stood head and shoulders above the rest. Todd's like really, really, really unique. If you look at his history, his career history, this is a coach who has had high-level, innovative, adaptable offenses at both the pro and college level. Doesn't matter the personnel, didn't matter the quarterbacks, didn't matter what he inherited. He always found a way to have, high-level and productive units. It became very apparent in everybody that we talked to about Todd how strong he was working and developing with young players. I think that's one of the beauties of Todd's experience is he does have pro and college experience as a coach, and that transfers in terms of how he leads and grows young players. The third, the mentors that he's worked for, most recently Kirby Smart and John Harbaugh. Arguably the best in the business in pro and college, and the lessons that Todd has learned and applied from those coaches has been outstanding. And then the last thing is he understands the job. The work that he did at Southern Miss, inheriting a program at its historical nadir, turning it around with few resources, shows he has the leadership, the gumption, and the resourcefulness to do this job at any level. So for us, we felt like he fit us like a glove. And we are so excited to have him and his family in Cleveland. I guess I should say back to Cleveland, Todd. But we're really stoked to have him. And so without further ado, Todd Monken.
What's going on, everybody? Shout out to y'all being here. We're about to hear from our new head coach. He got a speech.
Man, am I excited to lead this flagship, franchise, NFL franchise. It's been a long time coming. Really has been a long journey. And there's a lot of people as we get down the road here that I'm going to have to thank, but I'm jacked. I'm excited to be with the Cleveland Browns. It really, it's hard to even put into words. First off, I want to thank Dee and Jimmy, Whitney and JW for entrusting me in this opportunity to help build a winning team with the NFL's most passionate and dedicated fan base, including the Dog Pound. Secondly, I want to thank Andrew. Pointed that way, but you're right there. I want to thank Andrew Berry. Crazy enough, in 2019, when I interviewed here, my contact was Andrew, and actually was the first gentleman that I met with when I came in the building. And I could tell right away that our alignment and his clear vision for how you build a roster and how you develop players, we were aligned. And I look forward to being connected at the hip and building this roster to a championship level, consistent championship level. He mentioned the last few years, getting an opportunity to work with Kirby Smart and John Harbaugh, two of the elites in the game. When you talk about getting a doctorate in coaching, wow. I owe a lot to them. They entrusted me to elevate the offenses at both places, which is a credit to the staff we had and the players we had, because you can't do it alone. You absolutely cannot do this alone. It takes an army, and I owe a lot of gratitude to them. The one thing I learned being with both of them, I always thought I understood what it meant to confront anything that gets in the way of winning football. And what's interesting is they get to the same point. They just do it completely differently. But it's an art. Because ultimately, just like I would have with my son, just like our children, but you're going to confront anything that gets in the way of helping them become the best version of them. And that's your job with something that you love. And that's something I've never taken for granted with any job I've ever had, is fighting to confront anything that gets in the way of winning football. And I owe a lot to Coach Harbaugh. He hired me out of Georgia, took a shot on a college coordinator, trying to elevate Lamar in the offense. And I learned a ton. He is elite at messaging with a team, especially with an NFL team, and how you deal with players, and how you confront anything that gets in the way of winning without being confrontational. To me, that's an art. That's an art. Thank you, Coach. And then the last thing, shit. Told myself I wasn't going to cry, for God's sakes. I want to thank my mom and dad, no longer with us, my brothers, Tony and Ted. College roommates, drove up here to be here today. My father-in-law, Chuck. My son, Travis, proud of the man you've become, and his fiancée, Hannah. And my wife, Terry, been together 40 years, been married 34. Of course, she would say that's probably 6, because you're actually married to the game. So, but it's been an unbelievable journey. Thank you. I love you. Before I take any questions, I just want to. There's something that I've kind of always lived by, as a position coach, as a coordinator, and I will as a head coach. And you know, Jim and Dee and Jimmy, they cut a check with my name on it. And you know what they expect? A freaking kick-ass football team. That's what they expect. And you know what they want? They want to become a winning franchise that our fan base in our region is proud of. That's all they've been about, is how you build a winning franchise that consistently competes for championships. And you know what? My job is to prove it every single day, and I appreciate that. Thank you. And with that, let's go with some questions.
For questions, why don't we raise our hands and introduce yourself, even though you may already know Todd. Reintroduce yourself to him. Mary Kay?
Hi, Todd. Welcome back. Mary Kay Cabot, Cleveland.com, Cleveland Plain Dealer. Well, I guess I'll start right off the bat with the question probably everybody wants to know. Will you head into this offseason with Shedeur Sanders as your QB1? And if not, what is your approach to the whole quarterback situation as you move into your new job?
Well, I think like any position on the team, that's still to be determined. Am I excited about Shedeur? Am I excited about all the quarterbacks in the room? Am I excited to coach this football team? Absolutely. I can't wait for them to get back and for us to get started.
Joe Reedy, Associated Press. Todd, you mentioned in a Harbaugh Coaching Academy video your 2019 stint here. There was a lot of drama that the coaching staff couldn't control. Now that you're the head coach and learning from Kirby and Harbaugh, how do you manage that so that there isn't that drama?
Well, first off, I learned a lot in that 2019 season. I think you learn a lot. In fact, you learn a heck of a lot more when things aren't going well than when it is going well. And I learned a lot of things that I would have done different, and I think collectively would have done different. And I've seen it from a different angle, different point of view. But I'm ready to move forward with this team, the 2026 team.
Chris?
Hey, Todd, Chris Easterling, Akron Beacon Journal. Just want to ask you, as a former quarterback, what is it you're specifically looking for in a quarterback? What is that trait? What are the traits that you feel like are critical for a successful quarterback, regardless of level?
Well, I'm just going to start with personality traits. I mean, when you talk about who's going to lead this team, who has the it factor, who have those characteristics that the team wants to follow and believes in them because the ball's in their hand every down. This game's going to come down to 2-minute situations, 4-minute situations where you've got to be able to execute at a high level. And we're just talking about some of the characteristics that you're looking for, let alone some of the physical traits that we'll get a chance to talk about later.
Let's go Scott, Dan, and then Jimmy.
Hey Todd, Scott Petrick from the Chronicle Telegram. You said it was a long time coming. When did you first start to think about being an NFL head coach? And did you feel you'd come close before? And then what does it feel like finally now?
Well, first off, I played at Knox College, and my dad were high school coaches, and my uncles were high school coaches, so that was just a dream. But I've been part of a team since I've been 5 years old, the Purple Pounders of Wheaton, Illinois, and it's the coolest thing ever to be part of a team. Let's just put it that way, okay? All I ever wanted to do was be part of a team and coach football. That's all. I mean, other than my mom making an Evel Knievel outfit or an astronaut, I was a football player every Halloween. That's all I ever dressed up as. You name it, that's what I dressed up as. When I was a kid, everybody else was getting trains. They were getting Army men. I was getting football games. My dad, every single the little vibrating football game or talking football or rubber band football, every single game I ever got was about football. So all I ever want to do is coach and be part of a team. To me, it's not until you get into the NFL that you ever process like the opportunity could potentially be there to be a head coach in the NFL. Obviously, you have to probably reach the coordinator level to where that becomes a possibility. And there have been times before where I've been close. And I believe God put you at the right place at the right time. And that is now.
Dan Lobby, Cleveland.com. This kind of goes with Scott's question. Obviously, you've been saying it's a long time coming. Did you, at any point, think something like this wouldn't happen for you? And does that, I guess, does that make this opportunity more meaningful for you?
For sure. I mean, I'm not getting any younger. I mean, let's be real honest here. Although I'll say this, that the version you're getting of me now is a hell of a lot better than it would have been 15, 20 years ago. So I'll at least say that. Okay, but you get to the point where this is God's plan, which is fine. To be an offensive coordinator in the NFL or even coach in the NFL, I don't think people really realize there's 32 NFL teams. There's approximately 68, I don't even know how many more there are, Power 4 jobs. So whatever job we have, be it in the NFL or a Power 4 school, there's only 100 of you in the whole world. That's all there is. Within a 30-mile radius, there might be 100 doctors, 100 attorneys. You talk about a small group, talking about an elite group of men. So, sure, there's a time where you think that's not going to happen. But very appreciative for the jobs that I've had and the players that I've been around and the coaches that have helped me get to where I'm at, because you absolutely cannot do it alone.
Let's go Jimmy, then we're going to go Ashley, then we're going to go Terry.
Jimmy Watkins, Cleveland.com. Todd, you're known as a straight shooter. That's what they say about you. How do you set that culture of accountability in a way that doesn't turn players off, so to speak?
Great question. Like I said before, I think you have to hold the players accountable for what they say their dreams and aspirations are. You have to find out what really do you want individually with your career, and then what do you want collectively as a team. And all you're doing is holding them to what their goals and aspirations are, like people did for me. I am who I am because my parents did that for me. They didn't do that to me. They did that for me. And that's the way I go about it, is I think everybody likes honesty till they don't like what's said to them honestly. And I'm the same way. I'm no different. I like being stroked in a good way. I'm no different. I don't like the other side of it. But that's how I've gotten a lot better. And the people that love you the most, they're going to be honest with you. But all it is finding out what are your dreams and aspirations, and then let's fight like hell to achieve them.
Ashley Bastock, Cleveland.com. Just wondering, being in the division, like what your impression as a coordinator was of this defense, and if you've had a chance to talk to Jim or anything yet.
Give me that again, the last part.
If you've had a chance to talk to Jim Schwartz. Or
I have. Okay, so with that, I've had a chance to talk with Jim. But it's been a bitch, to apologize, to go against this defense 6 times over the last 3 years. Schematically, and more importantly, the players. Because ultimately, it's a player's game. That's what it is. It's our job as coaches to develop systems that allow your players to play fast. People talk about time speed. It's really not about time speed. It's about how they play on the field. And that's developing schemes, in my opinion, or systems, as Coach Harbaugh used to call it, with elegant simplicity, where they can function at a high level and play fast. And that's what you saw all the time with the guys that are here and the players that we have. But at the end of the day, I say this all the time. From an offense or defensive perspective, it starts with having elite players and then having an elite coaching staff with you. And then you can call the game freely because of that, because of the talent you have, and then because of the players, I mean, with the coaches that help it come to life. You know, that's what makes a coordinator elite. It's not one individual person. And when we get ready for the Browns, when we used to get ready for the Browns, excuse me, I mean, it'll be more fun and not have to worry about chipping 95 every down and distance, I can tell you that.
Terry, then Tony, then Mary Kay.
Terry Pluto, Plain Dealer, Cleveland.com. 2 things you mentioned about the defense there. I'm just curious, where do you stand with Schwartz? Is he coming back, or what do you know so far?
Well, first of all, I think Jim is an outstanding defensive coordinator. I think we all would agree with that. But I think it's a little inappropriate for me to comment about that at this time.
And secondly, when you looked at the Browns from the outside, you just mentioned the defense, but just in general, you've been through some situations where it's been big turnarounds. I know Southern Miss, I think you were like 0-12 or whatever the first year, and that. What does it take to get, especially in the NFL, to get a turnaround situation going?
Perseverance, because it's hard. I mean, winning's hard. I mean, it is hard, but the reward is unbelievable. I mean, that's what was fun about the thoughts of being the head coach here. I mean, if you like a challenge, let's go. Let's get this to where we're the standard, and the time is now. The timing is now. It's hard. It's perseverance, mental toughness, surrounding yourself with the right people, staffing, and then player-wise, that want to run into that smoke. Because not everybody wants to run in that smoke. Not everybody wants to look at it like it's 4th and 1 every day. And it is. It's 4th and 1 every day.
Nate, then Mary Kay.
Hey, Todd. Nate Aldrich, Akron Beacon Journal. Clearly, this means so much to you. So when you were at Georgia, you win the national championship back-to-back. You come back in the NFL. Did you come back to the league with the goal to become a head coach? Was that in your thinking?
100%. I called around to coaches in the NFL. I wanted to hear what it was like to be a head coach in the NFL. Because I tried to get a hold of Cliff Kingsbury, and I couldn't. He was in like Tahiti or something. So that one, thank God I didn't get him, because I might not have left Georgia. I got a hold of 3 or 4 other coaches, Kevin being one of them. And I asked him, do you enjoy being a head coach in the NFL? Do you enjoy everything that comes with it? It's not easy. It isn't. And to a man, all of them said they loved it, be it Matt LaFleur, be it Kevin Stefanski, and others that I reached out to, because it was the only reason for me to leave Georgia. Well, why else would I leave Georgia? We're winning, going to have good players, the culture's already set. So that was one part of it. The other part was the challenge of where we could take the team out east offense and how we could elevate Lamar Jackson. And like I said, I owe a lot to the players that were there and the coaching staff that we put together to help us do that. But ultimately, that was my goal, was to come back, to put yourself in a position to one day sit in this chair, be one of the 32.
Mary Kay, then Tony, then Daniel.
Yeah, Todd, on the day that Jim Schwartz supposedly left the building and said he wasn't coming back, Myles Garrett had a reaction to that on Instagram where he showed, someone hanging their head. Denzel Ward has said, I really want Jim Schwartz back here. So my question to you is, I know you can't go into detail about your convo with Jim, but what can you say to these players, or how confident are you that these players are going to like the direction that you're going to be able to go on defense, and will you be able to maintain the incredibly high standards of the defense even if Jim doesn't come back?
Well, first off, my anticipation is we're not going to change the system. Very difficult to go against. I'm not planning on changing the system. We're built for the system that they're in currently. And I'm not going to get into staffing because that's not at this time to get into that. But they can be rest assured that we're going to keep the same system. We're still going to let them attack. We're still going to let them play free. I can't see any other way. They're a big reason why I took this job. The defensive players. I didn't take this job because of Jim Schwartz. I have a lot of respect for Jim Schwartz, but as I would hope he has for me. But I took it because of the players that are here, the ownership, Andrew Berry, and the ability to build this roster from the ground up on the offensive side. So, and I said this to the other guys. I didn't think I'd say it, but I'm going to say it. When I was preparing for the Cleveland Browns, I wasn't trying to chip Jim Schwartz. I was chipping Myles Garrett. And when I was sliding a protection to the outside backers or Grant Delpit that were blitzing off the edge, I was sliding the protection of the players. And when I was worried about throwing to the right against Denzel Ward or Tyson Campbell to the left, that's who I was worried about throwing at.
Todd, Tony Grossi, ESPN Cleveland. Welcome back. We're still here. It's common knowledge now that Baltimore wanted to draft Shedeur. How much did you contribute to that decision at the time with Baltimore? Did you do any personal scouting of him, and what were your thoughts back then?
I think it'd be unfair for me to comment on another organization's process. I think that would just be unfair for me to go in depth of where we were at in the draft. Obviously, we had an affection, like a lot of teams, of Shedeur's skill set and what we thought he could become. But I really wouldn't want to go in depth of another team's process.
Daniel?
Hey, Todd. Daniel Yafusi, ESPN. A lot has been made about, the flexibility of your scheme and bending it to the talents of your players. But, from a macro view, when people envision a Cleveland Browns offense under Todd Monken, what do you want them to see?
Well, that's a question I get asked all the time. Like, what system do you run? What is that? And the way I'll try to phrase it is to score any way possible. I don't care what it takes to score. It's about scoring points. I would hate to put some sort of any type of connotation as to what system that we are other than playing to our players' strengths. I think one of the things that our staff, including myself, have been able to do is take advantage of what a player can do and not what they can't do. Every player in the NFL is elite, and they all have a trait, at least one trait, that allows them to, I don't want to say this, allows them to function, play at a high level. You just got to find what that is and not try to put a square peg in a round hole, taking advantage of what they do. And I think that's what we've been able to do consistently.
Cool.
Hey, Todd, Justin Cooper, ESPN Cleveland. Hey, after being here in 2019 and the well-documented struggles after the last 2 years of this organization, what makes you confident that you're the guy that could lead this team and turn this franchise around?
Well, it's interesting. that you asked that because in the interview, there was a question that came up about strength as a head coach. And the other was where your gaps as a coach, where you need help, where you can use people to fill in those gaps. And the other was, how would you envision yourself being unsuccessful? That's not even in my vocabulary. It just isn't.
Todd, I got two quick ones for you. Are you going to call the plays?
Yes.
And then you mentioned 95 a couple of times. How well did you know Miles in the year you were here, and how have you seen him evolve as a player since then?
Well, probably when I was here for that short period, I would say that I didn't know Miles very well, other than I loved his personality. I loved his charisma. I mean, always a smile on his face. At that time, I thought, holy cow, this guy runs like a wideout. You know, this guy looks like a skilled player. I mean, this guy is, you know, elite. And he's always had it in him, but you can just see the last few years, that his evolution in terms of blocking schemes, how teams try to prevent him from getting to the quarterback, which opens up opportunities for others. I think his awareness of what teams are trying to do, I think they've done a great job of moving him around because that's important. That definitely gets into a coordinator's head in game planning of where he's located. You can see it with every team that plays against Miles.
Let's go Spencer, then Sable, then Cam.
Spencer German, Browns Roundtable and Locked On Browns. I saw there was a clip that you did or you had of talking about coaching Lamar and how, you know, you even felt like there were some things that you could have done better working with him. So I guess I just ask, what did you learn from coaching Lamar for the 3 years you were there, and what were some of the biggest challenges and things that you kind of bring with you now to this job?
Well, first off, I think I didn't get to where I'm at as a human being or a coach without owning and then fighting like hell to fixing. And I think that's important in a relationship. I think that's important in life. Is there's a certain amount of, a bar graph here, follow me, of that 10%, 15% bitching, complaining, self-preservation mode that we can all get in when things go bad or things are tough, which that's life. That's relationships, that's coaching. But the other 85 to 90% is owning your mistakes because we're human and then fighting like hell to fix them. And that's what I've been about. The moment you get, excuse me, you were about to go. The moment that graph elevates and the other one shrinks, you're not in the place you want to be at. First of all, Lamar and my relationship was awesome. We get along great. We didn't have the success last year for a number of reasons, and it doesn't matter. Fact. You know, he was banged up. I would have loved to have seen it. He'd been healthy the whole year, but he was not. Doesn't matter. We didn't at times didn't give ourselves the best chance to be successful. Then you got to own that. That's part of what we do.
Todd, John Sable with Fox 8 here in Cleveland. I covered you for a few years there in Tampa when you were with the Buccaneers. You mentioned how you've grown since your stay here in 2019. How have you changed as a coach in your offensive philosophy since your last one of your first spots there in the NFL in Tampa when you had to develop a Jameis Winston and a team that was young and was trying to take that next step then?
I would say what's changed dramatically, and I'm going to talk a little bit philosophically more than I will about the team itself. What's really changed the last few years is situational football, the analytics that have changed. Conversion downs, the way you approach down and distance in the game, when you're going to take shots, when you know it's 4-down territory. More and more teams are going for it on 4th down. It's conversion downs, not just 3rd downs. I get a big kick out of defensive personnel when it's 4th and 2 and they stop them and they put their fist up like it's 4th down. No, we're not punting. Like, teams don't punt anymore. Like, you didn't really get them stopped yet. And I'm not making fun of that or making light of that. That's just how the game has changed in terms of your situational awareness of where you're putting yourself in position to keep the football and maximize your opportunity to score points. That's what's changed the most in the game, is the analytical part of what wins, what drives winning. And that's just not down and distance driven. That's tactical driven. Across the board. Concepts, players, matchups, all of that. That's changed dramatically over the years. And that's one thing that getting back in the NFL is when understanding that the critical plays in a game that changed the game. When we ran that Mark Andrews fake sneak around the end here this year, that was something we'd oiled up for 3 weeks. That was a play off a play. That was Coach Harbaugh's idea. I don't care whose idea it is, where it comes from. If it helps us win, that's what's most important. But it wasn't just a fly by your seat of the pants, let's just see if it works this way. No, it came up in that situation at a critical time. And that's the difference when you're looking for margins that help you win close games, which is what the NFL is all about.
Let's go Cam, then Jeff, then Joe. To close it out, Joe.
Todd, Cameron Justice, News 5 Cleveland. You talked about it a little bit, your approach in player development, but as that's an attribute that's been something that has been like top of mind for this hire and for you, what makes your approach to player development so unique and different, not just maybe in the young players and rookies that are going to be coming in, but maybe guys on the fringe, guys that are in that practice squad role looking to move up, and how do you approach that with depth as well?
Well, I think first off, as coach, we could never forget that we have a job for our players, ever. That's why we have a job. And we're in the development business. I know that's just the start of it. I'm kind of repeating what you said. Because no one has a ready-made roster. You only have so many picks. That's what you have. So it's starts with the top that believes in that, then the head coach, then down to the assistant coaches that we're going to coach everybody. At some point, they're all going to play for us. At some point, that's going to come up. And the best way to build their confidence is to spend time with them. That's the biggest thing. And to develop every aspect of their game, that's in the classroom and on the field. And everybody has a hand in this. Everybody, from sports science to our coaching staff to what we've seen at the beginning in terms of their skill set and how that fits with what we want to do.
Todd, you were asked about the quarterbacks at the very beginning. How would you assess the current receivers and offensive line?
Well, it's kind of a work in progress. It's kind of hard right now because right now we're spending the majority of our time on building an elite staff. I mean, that's really what we're doing right now. There'll be time for me to really get a chance to assess the receiver room. Most of it's been from afar, and same with the offensive line, and how we're going to construct the roster moving forward, especially offensively.
Joe, to close.
Todd, to close it out, just what's your timeline as far as hoping to complete a coaching staff?
I don't control that. I mean, we're going to vet as many candidates as we can to get it right. When I was a head coach at Southern Miss, we lost a coach, and Pete Golding, who's now the head coach at Ole Miss, he was our 8th safety interview. Our 8th. Our D coordinator was absolutely livid of why it took so long. We didn't get the right hire. We hadn't found it yet. I think just like they all vetted for the head coaching position, don't get worn out. Make sure you get the right people at the start. And that's what we're going to do. So there is no timeline to get it right.
Just, you've been in the division a long time. What do you think it's going to be like competing against Baltimore and Pittsburgh and Cincinnati this year. Baltimore and Pittsburgh, obviously, with new staffs. You were involved with plenty of shootouts with Cincinnati when you were with the Ravens.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
All right, gang, that concludes our questions. We're going to pose for some photos. Andrew, Barry, and Jimmy are going to be available in the room next door if the cameras want to start breaking down for that.
All right, y'all. That's my coach right there, y'all. That is my coach. That is my coach. That's my coach, y'all. I don't know if they're going to go live again, so I'm going to leave it here. We're going to see what happens. But for anybody who was lazy enough to say he was just a grumpy Kevin Stefanski, they got to stop talking. They have to stop talking. They have to stop talking. He probably said 12 different things during this press conference where I was like, I really like what he just did right there. I really like what he just did right there. Yeah, Detroit Gemini, the Haslam's were there. The Haslam's were there. He got the media, he put the media in their place. They were hesitant to ask questions after how he shot down that Jim Schwartz stuff. The first time, it was a little jab. He said, look, I talked to him. I talked to him. Oh, you want to follow up with Jim Schwartz? Look, I didn't take this job for Jim Schwartz. When we game planned, we were not game planning for Jim Schwartz. We were game planning for the players. We were game planning for Myles Garrett, Grant Delpit, Denzel Ward. That's what we game plan for. So you can ask me about this Jim Schwartz stuff, but we keep in the same system. But the players are the ones who play. You see, that Jim Schwartz stuff is shut down. He shut it down. When have you seen the Cleveland media out of this whole last year afraid to ask coaches questions? They was nervous. They was scared to ask questions after that. When he gave that answer, and he is showing them, I am not the last guy that was here. That last guy and how y'all spoke to him and how y'all were doing stuff with him, I'm not him. I'm not him. So his experience is how he can handle that room like that. The way he made sure that stuff he wasn't talking about, he went light at first. I'm not gonna talk about that. You gonna keep asking me questions? Oh, I'm gonna let you know that this is a hard boundary that you're not gonna cross. Once he did that, they was nervous. They were nervous. Did you talk to Jim Schwartz? Yes. Oh man, this was good. This was good. I'm excited. We all said that Detroit Gemini. I don't think Jim coming back, y'all. It's a wrap. You're right, D. He said it early. He said it is only 100 of these jobs when he was talking about the coaches and Power 4 schools. So you can double that when you're talking about coordinators. There's only 200 coordinator jobs. If Jim don't want to be here, Jim don't have to be here. And he already said, we're going to keep the same system. And we'll take our time when hiring the staff. We'll take as much time as we need to hire the staff to make sure we get it right. So when people start breaking down that press conference, there's no way you can tell me that you don't like what he did. I'm ready, coach. I got 12 plays, man. That's it. I got 3 series, 12 plays. That's it. But I got you, coach. Let me know. I'm very excited. He has great answers when he's talking about players, and he says everybody here has something that's really good about them. You got to get it out of them. I think that's true about everybody. I think everybody has one thing that just is unique to them that they could do better than majority of other people. And you just got to tap into that one thing. And when you tap into that one thing, you take yourself to the next level. And that's what he was talking about. So even when he was breaking down development, It's in the classroom. It's with sports science. It's with nutrition. It's not just developing on the field. He talked about the play that they ran against the Browns. The play that they ran against the Browns was they was setting that play up for 3 weeks, he said. And he said John Harbaugh is the one who said they should run it this way. That was a breaking point in that game. That was a breaking point in that game when they ran a fake QB sneak. So, this is a different coach. This is everybody saying, even me included, saying you want to go with a younger coach. The way he can handle the room, the way he's straight up with the players, the way he admitted that you need that tough love. You need people to tell you exactly what it is. And even sometimes he don't want to hear it. He's being honest with you, authentic. He doesn't seem like somebody who's going to change who he is. He's going to be him. And you just got to deal with it. And I really, really, really respect that about people. Especially in a room where you got to be the leader and you got to have control. D, I really don't think Monken cares one way or another if Jim is there or not. Train's going to keep rolling. It's going to keep rolling. It's going to keep rolling. He's going to get the best out of the team. You can see it. I agree. Myles Garrett better suck it up. Defensive head coach is not what was needed. Blind beauty, that's a fact. Nothing like a season. Nothing like a season, man. That experience. You heard the experience talking. You know he can go back to times where he tried to change for people and it wasn't necessary. He should have stuck to his guns and stuck to what he believed. So, Felix, he was on their neck. Today is a new day. He even cried perfect timing. The time is now. I got to do this, y'all, because y'all know. I got to give people their flowers in real time. Jimmy is live. All right, let's refresh it. I got to give people their flowers in real time. Shout out to Selmo Fudd and Detroit Gemini. Shout out to y'all. Let's get it. Oh, let me get a sound off of
Results
Jimmy.
on someone or worse, so it's a little bit of a roller coaster. I would say Todd was at the top of the list the entire time. I think our search lasted 20 days, and I'd say he was in leading the pack or in the front pack the whole time, Terry.
Hey, Jimmy, what did you learn on your other coaching searches that affected you picking?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I didn't pick him. Okay, we picked him. All right, but I say that we, capital we, and I want to thank Andrew and our team in terms of process. And process is extremely important in these searches because they're very emotional. There are all kinds of information out there, and all due respect, a lot of it not accurate. And so by having an organized, disciplined process, which we stuck to, and I think the first coach, whoever hires the first coach or the second coach is not necessarily the winner. 2 years from now, nobody will remember whether Todd was the 7th or 8th coach hired, whatever he was. What's count is, did we get the right guy? And I think our team laid out a good process, and I think we were disciplined throughout that process the entire time up to last Wednesday when we announced Todd as our head coach.
Jimmy, you talked about his experience with the quarterbacks, and obviously Andrew before had mentioned whoever you guys hired as head coach would have a lot of input there. Like, how confident are you with Todd's experience that he can help give a long-term answer at that position?
Like, highly confident. Now, Andrew's got to help him. We need players, but I'm highly confident.
How much did players interactions you have with players over the course of the process? I mean, Miles, Denzel, any of the senior, the veteran, leaders.
Yeah, I'll be honest. During the process, and Andrew might have been a little bit different. I didn't talk to any players, but JW, who's in the back of the room there, and myself interviewed 30 or 40 players post season and post the announcement of Kevin, and I think we got really good feedback offensively and defensively about what was needed.
Two of the attributes that have been just repeated with Todd Monken is accountability and player development. Why were those two so important to this organization specifically, to you guys in this search?
Well, I think all of us who have run organizations understand you have to have accountability. And as I mentioned, when JW and I interviewed or spent time with 30 or 40 of our players, if you said, give me one common word, is we need more accountability. So that stuck with us. And then player development, I believe we'll have the youngest team next year in the NFL. So obviously you need to have somebody who appreciates and is good at player development.
Jimmy, Todd was the first external candidate that you guys interviewed. Was that just logistics? Or
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Okay. tip off who you were heading to?
Yeah, and you remember you're dealing with lots of things. You're dealing with the Rooney Rule, okay? You're dealing with teams in the playoffs. The NFL has a much more controlled process than they've ever had before. As you'll remember, we were dealing with severe weather. So we were dealing with lots of different things. I wouldn't read the fact that we hired Todd it was because he was the second guy we interviewed. That's how it fell out.
Jimmy, you made it clear after you fired Kevin that you expected this team was going to win more than 8 games the last 2 years. So even though, as you said, you anticipate having one of the younger teams, is the expectation that this team's going to win a lot more this year than they did last year?
Well, let's be careful with a lot more, Daryl. But do I expect we'll win more games? I do. And I think we'll have a better football team. And I think it'll be, what's Terry say? They're ugly to watch sometimes. We're not going to be ugly to watch, okay? And I actually take that seriously. I mean, we want it to be a fun team to watch, a team that plays hard, plays smart, and most of all wins.
Todd's got a lot of personality. I mean, up there today, he cried, he was joking, he was cursing. What do you think, how do you think that influences coaching style? What do you make of his personality?
You know, I think players, and really all of us, want to see real guys. And what you saw today, that's how Todd is. It wasn't like, well, he's not really, he might cuss a little more, but that's really what Todd is like, okay? And you see the emotion, you see the faith, you see the drive, the work ethic, the confidence. What you saw for the 25 minutes he was up there today, that's Todd Monken.
Jimmy, you mentioned the process and you mentioned the tests, and you guys, I think, took some grief for how you conduct your process. Do you think, first of all, do you think it's that different than what everybody else does in the league?
I have no idea, to be honest. I have no idea.
And what do you like about the way that you do it that includes the tests and asking guys to do, fill out?
Yeah, I think you have to be really careful to just weight everything on the interview, okay? Because sometimes strong personalities sell better than other personalities. And I think when we put a lot of confidence in references, and we probably had 30 references on everybody, and obviously you put more confidence in some references by how high they are up the totem pole, okay? So I think that's important. I think the testing we put them through is important, the body of work, and then the interview. And those are the 4 things we didn't short circuit, everybody did the same, and I think it served us well.
Jimmy, I know that the crews are about to start digging the hole for the dome. How concerned are you with lawsuits still pending? The lawsuit over unclaimed funds, the lawsuit filed by former Mayor Kucinich.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. 4 weeks from yesterday, we're going to start the largest construction job in Cuyahoga County history, so I think that would tell you how confident we are.
And how important is it, too, because with the crew getting the Olympics there, how important is it to have the dome here and hopefully get some of those?
Yeah, I don't know if everybody read it, but the Olympics are actually going to take place in Columbus, Ohio, which seems a little strange since they're in Los Angeles, but there's so many soccer games, they need lots of venues. And so Columbus will have somewhere between 4 and 8 Olympic soccer games. And I just think that shows you, with world-class venues, what opportunities you will have. We will have that starting in 29 with new Huntington Bank Stadium.
Jimmy, 2 questions real quick. First of all, what did you make of Myles Garrett's reaction, and have you talked to him ever since he posted that thing on Instagram? That's my first question. My second question is going to be about Deshaun Watson, so I want to make sure to squeeze that in too.
Yeah, listen, I love Myles, okay? I haven't talked to him since the day after the season, but I'm highly confident Myles will come in here and break the sack record again and be the defensive player. He hadn't been named it, but I'll be shocked if he isn't, and will be a leader of our team.
Okay, and then the Deshaun Watson question is, do you guys feel like if Deshaun Watson is healthy, you have a potentially 3-time Pro Bowl caliber quarterback to offer to Todd Monken as he evaluates your quarterback room?
Yeah, I think that's, somebody asked a question about quarterback today, and I think Todd knows a little bit from playing us, but really, he's an offensive coach, and he'll start looking at that, and that'll be Todd's call. We have 3 quarterbacks on the roster, and we'll let Todd give us advice, and he and Andrew will work from there.
Jimmy, 2 more. We're going to go Jason, we're going to go Tony.
Jimmy, I know we're doing Brown today, but Giannis obviously is a talking point in the NBA. Do you expect a Giannis trade?
I would say this, Jason. Giannis is, top 3, top 4 player in the world. He brought Milwaukee its first championship in 50 years, several years ago. And he's a really good person, too. He's no problem. He's a great leader, tries hard. And I think Giannis and the Bucks, and this goes back to before we were involved, have always worked closely to see what's best for Giannis and what's best for the Bucks, and we'll continue to do so.
What's a successful trade look like?
That's a question for John Horse.
Todd said he wanted to keep the same defensive system. You made reference to all the good assistant coaches you have on defense. Should we assume that they will be back definitively?
Yeah, we would hope so. We would hope so. I can't say definitively, but we would hope to have, by and large, we have a couple of free agents, the same players, okay, which is a great place to start, right? And then the same basic coaching staff.
Thank you, guys.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Good to see you all.
Jason Lloyd don't care about football, y'all. Jason Lloyd don't care about football. What's going on, Asante? How you feeling, man? Jason Lloyd out here asking about basketball. What we doing, man? What we doing? what we doing? Jason Lloyd don't care about football. He don't care about it, man. It's just a job. He shows up. For whatever reason, he's not covering the NBA anymore. But he don't care about football. He don't want to do this job. Move out the way. Let somebody else in the room who actually has an interest and the desire to be there. Mary Kay is over. Go on and apply for another position elsewhere. Bye-bye, bad news, Brenda. For real. Shutting her down. Jimmy shutting them down. It's a new day in Cleveland. It is a new day. Does he own an NBA team too? Yes. The Milwaukee Bucks. They're part of an ownership group of the Milwaukee Bucks. I want to say 2, maybe more, maybe 4 years ago they got into that ownership. Don't quote me on the year, but yes, the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't like it hearing him say it's yet to be determined about Shedeur Sanders starting 2026. He sounds unsure. He is picking back up where Stefanski left off. Shedeur needs a coach who believes. Andrea, I don't know. Maybe you're reading too. Are you talking about the owner answering that question? Because that was just the owner. That wasn't the coach. The coaches said he's gonna look in the room and see what they can do to upgrade it, but he's focused on putting his coaching staff together. So I think it's a good thing that the owner is not going out there saying this who's going to be the starter. The owner is saying it's up to the head coach. So I think you might want to go listen to the portion where the coach is talking, because that was the owner who was just talking and they asked him that question. I don't know why they would ask him that question. What question did he ask? He asked, what do he think, or what does he think they can get for Giannis, or will Giannis be traded? This is a live press conference for the Cleveland Browns. They are introducing a new coach, and the question you ask is about Giannis and him being traded. It don't make sense. Makes no sense. Messi K really grinds my gears. Yeah, it's everybody positive, and she is going for the clickbait stuff, going for what she thinks is gonna get people views. She doesn't even realize stuff is changing in real time. The change is happening right before her eyes, and she don't see it. Jason and Shedeur. Jason mad Shedeur gonna be QB1 and he sees it. Yeah, he ain't asked no questions. He ain't want no parts of that. It's nothing for him to ask. When I said Jason didn't understand football, I wasn't lying to y'all. When I said Jason doesn't understand EPA, I wasn't lying to y'all. He doesn't understand it. It's a new coach here. You had no questions for the new coach. No questions. Because the coach would have put you in your place. So you had no questions for the coach. Then you get up there and ask the owner about a totally different sport. It's like if Cleveland is that unsure, go play the others and trade him to a team that wants him and not unsure. Andrea, you got to go back and watch what the coach said. I don't think if you are coming away with that, you definitely did not watch what the coach said. You didn't watch what the coach said, if that's your takeaway. The coach said the quarterback is going to be the person that the players want to play for and who has that it factor. So if you watch what the coach said, you would not be feeling that way. You would not be feeling that way. Shout out to Through the Fire podcast. I appreciate you. We're gonna get to Andrew Berry.
Hiring a CEO or a COO. right? This is a position that, you know, across the league you may spend, call it 50 to 100 million on the hire, plus another 75 million on their staff, plus the impact that they have on the organization. And there has to be a level of like thoughtfulness when you're going through that hiring process. So the way that we looked at it is like, okay, you know, generally speaking, you have a 4-week period to make really a monumental hire for the organization, something that can alter your path, alter your strategic direction in a very positive way, or if you make the wrong hire, a very negative way. And so the way we went through the process is, one, we wanted to define, okay, what are we asking this individual to do in this phase of our team's life cycle? 2, what are the characteristics and attributes that we're seeking that would allow them to be successful? And then 3, how are we actually going to measure that? And the way we looked at it was, number one, it's performance, right? It's a performance-based business. We want someone with a good track record. We want to know what it was like working with these individuals from the people who have been with them over a long period of time. And then we also wanted to test their critical thinking skills in role-specific areas. And that's what the interview process was. That's what the the assessments were, and the work sample. So it was simple like that. That guided our interviews. I know a lot of teams, they may do it the flip way, where they'll interview to like funnel. We did a lot of research on the front end to guide who we would actually even submit a slip for, and then use additional parts of the process, the interview process, to ultimately arrive at a result.
Andrew, was Todd someone that shocked you, or was someone that was always, for you, going to be right in the thick of things towards the end?
No, the way we went through is like for us to get to the point where we felt comfortable submitting a notification form. They're called notification forms. You submit it to the team, you submit it to the league. We had done a lot of research on the front end to make sure that they matched what we needed and what we were looking for in the head coaching position. So it wasn't just like, okay, let's just submit for, a number of different coaches and kind of go scattershot. We had done the homework on probably starting 50 coaches, then we funneled it to 23, and then ultimately the 8 external candidates that we submitted for before we even got to that point.
Andrew, I got 2 Jim questions. Number one, is there still a chance that he can come back as defensive coordinator?
Yeah, Scott, I'd say again, I'd repeat what Todd said, where we have a ton of respect for Jim and everything like that. There will be a time for that, but this is Todd's day.
And
Not Andrew been plotting. All right, let me make sure that's the Browns and not me. Okay, yeah, that is the Browns. That is the Browns. I thought that was me. I was gonna say, what's going on? The Brown stuff stopped.
Oh my God! Wow!
Shout out to Through the Fire podcast. I appreciate you. Jason Lloyd is a dumpster fire. Yeah, it just shows that he doesn't believe in what he's doing. He doesn't believe in what he's doing. That's what that is. He doesn't believe in what he's doing. He doesn't like it. Go do something else. Nobody's forcing you to cover the Browns if you really want to cover the NBA. Go cover the NBA. The problem is the Browns are the biggest story in sports. The biggest story in sports. They're going to continue to be the biggest story in sports as long as they have Shador. So you got to deal with it.
That he will find what he's looking for right there in your quarterback room, or do you think there's a chance that
We back, y'all.
in the draft or free agency or the trade market?
You know, Mary Kay, I think for us, I think I've mentioned it to at least all of you here, that we go into each offseason as if we have an expansion team. So, and particularly at quarterback, where it's the most important position in sports, we'll always do resource in terms of like what opportunities are available on the veteran market and in the draft market. We've got to hire a staff first. After that, we'll certainly, pick up the internal assessments with our own roster. But quarterback, no different than another number of other positions. We'll spend a lot of time assessing what options are out there.
Andrew, I'll go.
Okay.
I'm over it.
Age before beauty.
She does great. You mentioned, almost like in passing, that you thought you probably had maybe the youngest roster in the league. where does that come from? Is that the plan, or?
That's just where we're projecting based on the amount of draft resources we have and then probably just anticipated activity in free agency. That combined with having a very young defense, we would anticipate that we'd be a very young team. We're not necessarily going to be at a phase where we're going to sign a bunch of mid-30s veterans to like put us over the top, so to speak. That doesn't mean that we're not going to participate in free agency or participate with veteran players, but the reality of having 10 selections, 8 that are in the top 150, and already a very young defense, and with pretty heavy investment on offense, in most worlds, we're probably going to be one of the younger teams in the league.
So a few weeks ago, when I asked you about the defensive system, and you said you don't believe your scheme specific, but obviously you like the way you guys play,
Mm-hmm.
and Todd talked about anticipating that scheme
Yeah.
stays the same regardless of what happens with Jim. Just how important was that, and I guess are you guys satisfied with that outcome with that side of the ball?
Well, we're certainly satisfied with the outcome, and part of the reason is because we hired Todd. But the second part I'd say is like in terms of the flexibility with the defensive system, we did talk to a number of coaches that we thought very highly of that would have had some alterations with it. That was not necessarily a non-starter for us. We were looking for the person who best fit the characteristics we were looking for for this phase of the team. But yeah, like we think they play the style particularly well.
Andrew, 2 questions about 2019. Todd had mentioned you being a point of contact for him. What kind of relationship did that lead to? And then the second question is, I know you went to Philly, but in the interview process, what did he convey to you about his familiarity with the franchise and what he learned in that year?
So that's a great question, Nate, because the interesting part is when we were supporting Freddie with building out his initial staff, he's right, I was the point of contact. So we talked about things during the interview process, supported him to get up and running, and then I think maybe like a week later I had gone to Philadelphia. Well, the flip side is when I was in the interview process for the general manager's position here, I called him and I was like, okay, like essentially, hey, what happened in 2019? Obviously you can infer from the outside, but there are a lot of good people, there are a lot of good players there. I'm surprised the season went as it, and he was very honest and forthright. And so we always like kept in contact. I can't say that like we were incredibly close throughout that time, but it was always a bunch of it was really always a lot of mutual respect. Texted him after they won the national championship in Georgia. We always talked. And texted like throughout the season when he's with the Ravens. Just always had a lot of respect for him. So I'm super pumped to have the chance to be able to work with him.
So I know somebody.
Let me go someone who hasn't asked a question. I'm going to go Daniel first because I like him better than you, Daryl. So I'm just
One of the questions, one of the testing questions or assessment questions was, what is your plan or how would you develop Shador Sanders? I guess that's why was it important to include that question is that maybe indicative of the organization's hopes for him going forward?
So when we talk about player development, one of the things that we wanted to get a feel for with all the candidates was less about the specific player, but more about like the player archetype, so to speak. So Shador, right, is naturally that's like an example of like a young quarterback, and see what thoughts candidates had on that. We also had another young player on defense, and we also had a position coach as part of that because we wanted to see how the head coaching candidates thought about those things globally, given everything that's asked for them in that seat. Daryl, you're good.
Offensively, obviously, there's a lot of work that you have to do. You talked about, hey, you can't fill every hole in one off season. Jimmy just mentioned, hey, he doesn't expect the team's going to be more fun to watch this year, win at least more games than you did last year. So what's that balance and timetable look like from your perspective as you go to work this offseason, trying to put that offense together with time?
Yeah, Daryl, I think, honestly, you just try and make the best decisions as they become presented to you. I think it's as simple as that. I think we believe in being very process-oriented and feeling if we have good process, it'll lead to good results. Todd's obviously very flexible in terms of what has been built for him and how successful he's been. But a big part of it does come maybe a little bit back to Mary Kay's question. I know she was talking about it more with quarterbacks, but just player availability on the marketplace. Like what types of players, what styles of players, and at what positions are they available? I guess like maybe by way of example, if we were sitting here last year and, you know, you would have said, hey, look, you're going to take a running back and an off-the-ball linebacker in the early second round. Said, okay, that's probably unlikely based on the player markets, that type of thing. But that's what we did because, like, we felt like, you know, Carson and Quinshawn made the most sense, you know, in that moment, and they could be long-term, fixtures on the roster. So I'd like to, look, for even my own sake, I'd like to have a little bit more clarity there, but the reality of it is we have a lot of work to do before we get to that point.
More here.
Could you clarify, when you interviewed offensive-minded coaches, how much of the conversation was there about Schwartz as a defensive coordinator? It's been reported you demanded it, you suggested it. Yeah. It couldn't have been avoided, right?
Yeah, I think, honestly, that naturally comes up with staffing decisions, Tony. You always ask, okay, hey, look, what's your plan on each side of the ball for staff? What are the roles and responsibilities that you see as you round out your staff? And then, you know, do you have familiarity, or what do you think with, you know, your existing assistants? I'd say that's pretty standard across coaching interviews, Tony, and that was pretty standard with us.
Andrew,
have you asked one, Joe?
No.
Okay.
Andrew, in terms of Todd, from when you first met him in 2019 to now, and seeing him at Georgia and Baltimore, where have you seen him make the most evolution or growth?
I'll be honest, I actually think the most impressive part of, and maybe it's a little bit unfair to say growth, but he was one of the early air raid coordinators in college, right? Shotgun, one back, spread it out, up tempo. He goes to Tampa Bay. They're probably like the early adopters of like the hard play action, hit the drifts over the middle of the field, get the ball out, have explosives with easy passes for the quarterback. And then, you know, Georgia, they're a little bit of a marriage of a bunch of different things. I actually thought the coolest evolution was the contrast in his first 2 years in Baltimore. So he gets hired in Baltimore. You know, they were largely a power QB run-based offense under Greg Roman. They were looking to see Lamar take another step as a passer. He wins his second MVP, where they're very much a pass-oriented offense, and he has one of the greatest passing seasons in NFL history. They go out and sign Derrick Henry the next year. I shouldn't say they completely changed their approach, but philosophically they were much different. They were power run, downhill, and they have another phenomenal offensive season. And like to see that level of change just in a single year, adapting to like the strengths of the personnel, it's very impressive.
Todd's got a lot of personality.
Yeah.
He's not afraid of showing it in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy said he likes that Todd feels like a guy up there. What sort of asset do you think that can be for a coach?
Yeah, I actually think people, and players in particularly, appreciate coaches that are authentic. Like, everybody comes in different packaging. Everybody in this room like comes in different packaging. And all we want people to do is be themselves. Because if Todd can be himself, he's incredibly knowledgeable, he's incredibly credible, he's incredibly funny. You know, I just think people will respect that.
Andrew, what did you make of Myles Garrett's reaction the day of both the hire and, you know, Jim supposedly leaving the building mad, and then what do you think Myles' response to all this is going to be? I don't know if you know where.
Yeah, I didn't see it, to be honest, Mary Kay. We kept Myles abreast of the process throughout, so he honestly he knew the news before you all did. So Myles is a great team player. I'm not really worried about that.
We're going to go two more. We're going to go Spencer, then we're going to go Coop.
Andrew,
I'll get you two. All right, we'll go three more.
This was your first time as GM going through the coaching search. Did it go kind of as you anticipated? If there were challenges along the way or disagreements along the way, how did you kind of work through those things? Just what was kind of your overall takeaways from it? What did you learn? And how did you kind of combat things?
Yeah, I'd actually say it's pretty similar to the ones that I had not led but been a part of, previously at previous stops. You learn and meet one thing I want to say, the NFL coaching community is in really, really good shape. I know people talk about like, oh, there aren't big name candidates. There are a lot of really, really talented and really, really good coaches in this league if people take the time to look. And we learned a lot, throughout the past several weeks. We met with a lot of incredible people, and we were very happy with the process and how it turned out.
Andrew, that being said, can you just talk about the collaboration process? Obviously, there's some rumors that you wanted Shieldhouse and Jimmy wanted Monken. Can you just shed some light on just the back and forth with you and Jimmy during this entire process?
I would say very respectfully, I think there is an underlying and stereotypical assumption for why people would say that. And I think that's completely unfair.
Andrew, it's kind of adjacent to Daryl's question, but I know you don't have a timeline for it, but how important is it for you guys to establish an identity, to create that identity early, both on offense and special teams? I know you want to keep the defense the same, but how important is it for you guys to create that and get a feel for what you have with Monken and what this team ends up being come the start of the season?
Well, I think it's certainly important to have the identity before September 1st, that type of thing. But I think, the time leading up to it, and as we go through the different personnel avenues and the personnel cycles and things like that, we have time, and we'll do it slowly and deliberately and thoughtfully. All right. Thank you all.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Andrew.
All good. Shanithia, what is going on? Shanithia, you're gonna like Todd Monken so much after you watch his presser. Zedric, what happened was after Jimmy Haslam spoke, AB started speaking. It went away because they had a technical difficulty. Then they brought it back. But when I say they all acting different, they are all acting different. AB up here cracking jokes, talking about, oh, I like Daniel more than you, Daryl, so I'm going to get his question first. They are shutting down the messiness. The Myles Garrett situation, they shut that down. They shut down, he even said it. He said Myles knew before everybody else knew. So we know Myles Garrett is not leaking stuff. So everything that the media has been focusing on, they have shut it all down. Shut it down. Mary Kay, you better start learning about football. Every question Mary Kay asks, this is what I was thinking.
Stop it. Get some help.
Mary Kay got to stop. You got to focus on the game of football now. They are here to speak about football. They're here to speak about football. So Mary Kay got to step her game up. She got to start learning about what type of defense we run, what type of offensive system we run. She got to learn about down and distance. She got to learn about, when to take shots, when not to take shots. She got a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. Another thing, Shanithia, Todd Monken put up all type of boundaries. They asked him about Jim Schwartz. He shut it down. One word answer. Moved on. They asked him about Jim Schwartz again. He went in and said, look, I didn't take this job because of Jim Schwartz. I took this job because of the players. Put him in their place. They was nervous to even ask him questions after that. So, another thing, Shanithia, he was describing. Oh, yeah.
You about to lose your job. You about to lose your job.
Mary Kay about to be out of there. Another thing, when they asked Todd Monken about what he looks for in a quarterback, one of the first things he said was, I look for somebody who the players want to play for. They have that it factor. So they're putting it out there. So if you miss any of this, you definitely want to go back and watch. Because they are changing. They are changing things up. Jimmy Haslam even shut down when they said, you don't want to pick Todd Monken. He said, no, we picked Todd Monken with a capital W. So when I say they acting totally different, they acting totally different today. Todd Monken, this is our first real introduction of him. So Todd Monken is being Todd Monken. I really like his energy. I really like how firm he is. I really like how he says what's on his mind. But Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry, they definitely took some of that from Todd Monken, and they are just putting it out there. And they were shutting stuff down today. Everybody got their chest pumped out. Everybody is excited. The cloud that was over this team, they are moving this cloud from over this team. They are moving this cloud away from this team. They want this team to be good. Everybody is speaking about football. They are speaking about football. So it's going to be different, y'all. It's going to be different. They better leave DeAndre Monken alone, for real. He said Shador without saying his name, wrist up. He did. When he says it has to be the guy that the players want to play for, come on now. Just look at the roster. Who y'all think they want to play for? Just look at it. All y'all got to do is look at it. Oh, yeah, and he be cussing too. The first couple of times he said, I'm sorry. Then he was just letting it go. He was just letting it go. So to me, this is a very good opening to what the Browns are going to be moving forward. Very good open. Very good open. So the Todd father was not playing. Mary Kay asking those questions all about Shador, Myles Garrett, pictures on Instagram. They shut all that down. Shut all of it down. So these reporters will have to learn about football. They're going to have to learn about football. They're going to have to. The QB questions that they kept asking, they were shutting them down. So they got to learn about football, y'all. They have to learn about football. So I've been getting y'all prepared because it's going to be about football. And when it's about football, you're going to see who really has an interest in the Browns and them being good and who doesn't. So this was a great pop-up stream. It went longer than I expected, hour and a half. I'm going to step away for a couple hours. We're going to be back at this thing tonight. Pro Bowl watch party, 7:45. Game starts at 8 o'clock. We're going to watch it. I'm pretty sure they do a skills challenge before the flag football game, if I remember correctly. But we're going to watch this thing together tonight. It's a new day in Cleveland. Patreon peeps, Thursday, be looking for another opportunity to respond to a voicemail. So I'm going to put up a voicemail question for Thursday. Thursday, Patreon peeps, be looking for that post. I want to know how y'all feel about Todd Monken after his press conference and how y'all feel about Shador after we watch this Pro Bowl tonight. And then also we're going to do another stream tomorrow morning. So we at this thing, y'all, feeling good. Feeling good. Feeling good about this. Who making Todd Father t-shirts and hats with me? Y'all really trying to get me in this merch game. Because Laurie had a good one too. She said we about to monk this thing up. Y'all saying the Todd Father, y'all really trying to get me in this merch game. y'all really trying to get me in this merch game. Kevin had to use the media to cover for his lack of a track record. Ty won't do that. They spoke a lot about accountability. The players want accountability. They want a coach who can adapt. They want somebody who can make adjustments. In my mind, I counted about 12 times. It seemed like they were speaking directly against who Kevin Stefanski is. About 12 times. That's just off the top of my head first listen. So, it's crazy. It's crazy. It is crazy. We back at this thing tonight, 7:45 Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Definitely rewatch it if you missed any of it. We will be back tonight. They some workers. We some workaholics, y'all. So we are doubling up. We doubling up. We back at this thing tonight. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I see all of y'all comments. Make sure you turn on that notification bell so you can be notified when I go live. We back at this thing tonight. I appreciate y'all. A bunch of one-liners. We're going to be back tonight. Peace, everybody.
Look at what I did. Look at what I started. Look how far I came, dog. I ain't have no guidance. I just did my thing, dog. I just went my hardest. And I'ma go hard regardless. Yeah, I'ma go hard regardless. Yeah. Ready my check, I ran on my back.